It's that time of day. As I told you guys, that's my line right now. That's my line. 7th hour every day. It's that time of day. My 7th grade kids, they count on that line. Man, how is everybody tonight? 8 p.m. Central Standard Time here in Champaign, Illinois. I was going to say sunny Champaign, but there's very little sunny about today. I had a great day, though. Started up a little staff pickleball after school today. So I got to play 3 pickleball games, which I'm learning that, I really like pickleball. I mean, I really like pickleball. How is everybody tonight? Guys, thanks for joining us. This is the winter stream of all things wings. We've been going 12 streams a month, having fun with it, just hanging out. Can you do me a favor? Can anyone tell me if that background music is too loud? It's really loud in my ear, but I literally can't turn it down any lower. And I'm having a hard time understanding whether or not it's too loud, because if you heard what I heard, it's absolutely too loud. Welcome everybody tonight. Check in when you get here. Let us know where you're watching from. We are live for 30 minutes, hanging out, just getting to know our guest. And our guest tonight is Wade DeVries out of Roxana, Illinois. If you've hung around us for a while, you know Wade. He's a buddy of mine, and we've coached together once upon a time. It's been 4 or 5 years now, 5 years since we did. But what's up, Coach Rogers out of Minnesota, Thomason out of Oregon? Welcome, Coach. And I don't think you guys got to play in Oregon, did you, Coach Thomason? It's a little loud, he said the music is. All right, let me work on that. I think I know what I'm going to have to do. I'm just going to have to switch back to my old method, which I'm going to do. I got to have a little something in the background, but I'm going to switch back to my old method. This will take me just a second. Excited for you guys to meet Coach DeVries. Man, we've had a great week. I had in the house Monday night Scott Meadows out of Tennessee. I had on Tuesday night the Tony DeMeo, option legend, who killed it with his stories. And 25-year college head coach. He killed it with his stories. That was a great night. Last night, Rick Stewart. And now tonight, Wade DeVries. My favorite quote from the week when Tony DeMeo said, David didn't beat Goliath 2 out of 3. David versus Goliath was not 2 out of 3. When you're the little guy, shorten the game. Shorten the game when you're the little guy. That's why basketball games, you get way more upsets in basketball games than football games, because the game is so much shorter in basketball. So there's going to be more upsets. Speaking of upsets, how about Ohio State over Clemson? Ohio State Bama Monday night, which means next Monday is our next live stream. I am feeling like I'm going to need to move that live stream to 7. Does the game start at 8? Because if the game starts at 8, I don't want to be live when the national championship game starts. I want to be at home watching that. Coach DeMeo and Coach Stewart, I think it was Coach Stewart last night, was saying the entire college game has become just about recruiting. Okay, so if you're Alabama and you're getting the best recruiting class year after year after year, how many years straight have they had the best recruiting class? How are they doing that? What is so cool about Nick Saban? They don't have the coolest uniforms. They wear the same thing every day, right? So that was everybody had that theory for a moment when Oregon started getting their fancy stuff, and Oregon's turnaround was impressive, and their uniforms are cool. But Alabama doesn't ever change. So why? Nick Saban is not some earth-shatteringly cool guy. How do you get the best class every year? That's what I'm trying to figure out. What does that mean? What is recruiting? What does that look like? Making sure when your guys come to campus, they have an incredible time? Help me understand. Does anybody know? Any ideas? Throw them in the chat. If you're here watching, guys, we're about to bring Wade DeVries into the chat, and you got to let us know where you're watching from. I know I got more than just Coach Rogers and Coach Thomason here, guys. Thanks for checking in. We're live for 30 minutes tonight. Let's go get Coach DeVries in the house. Here he comes. Coach DeVries.
Hey, how's it going?
You got us?
I'm on.
Glad to have you. I'm just on a rant right now about recruiting. Coach Stewart last night was talking about how college football has become almost, in coaching, like so much less about X's and O's, and like all they think about is recruiting. So you take a school like Alabama, who's had the best number one recruiting class X years in a row.
Right.
Oh, how? It's not their fancy uniforms. Jeff Rogers says winning brings winners.
Yeah, and I think at that level, when you're recruiting guys that are 5-star, 4-star, top 300 guys every year, I think that it's the opportunity. They know they're going to get a chance to go to the NFL.
If you play.
Right, but you can go to Alabama and sit for 2 years. Matt Jones is going to be, first-round pick?
And he got his first crack this year.
3 years.
Is that what happened? Is he a senior?
I think it's his second or third. I thought it was his third or fourth year there.
Man, and he's getting his first crack now.
Because they had pictures back when he was still on it was on the team, and it was Tua and Hurts and him all on the team together. So he was there when Hurts was there.
All three of them.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Listen, number one class, I get it. They're awesome. Number one class every year? Tell me you don't think for a moment that someone might be sliding some.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have to imagine that's happening at more than just the number one class.
Right. Surely.
Right. I mean, when all of a sudden, I like it when a school at one year, Ole Miss is going to have the fourth best recruiting class. And I'm like, oh, yeah. It's like Illinois was Zook, man. I loved it. I'm like, pay them. Who cares? I've said for years, I'll take 5 years of winning for 5 years of probation as a fan.
And so you're an Illinois grad.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, give me 5 years of winning. I'll take the 5 years of probation. Because they can take the banner away.
We're on permanent probation right now. We suck every year. What's the difference?
Yeah. What's worse? I'd rather have you're right. Be on probation. Then you got a reason for sucking. Coach Gardner in the house. They're all dirty. The league speaks. Jeff Rogers says it's true. It's true. They are attracted to that. But there's lots of schools that could go get recruited to the league. Again, just number one class 5 years in a row, 6 years in a row. If the name of the game is recruiting, and you come in, I just want to know what that looks like. What does doing that well look like? If you're number one, they're the best in the world at recruiting. What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, what does that actually look like being the best?
Right.
There has to be like some work that Saban's doing that makes them the best, and their staff.
Yeah, and I think Dabo's an interesting example because he came from. I mean, Saban's been good for a long time. So Saban is a guy. I mean, if Nick Saban comes to your house in your living room, he says, "This is what I'm going to do for your son. These are the values we're going to put in place." You look at Nick Saban, and you go, "Got it." But something that Dabo brought was able to get Clemson to turn that corner to those top they're not first, so they're third or whatever they happen to be. And he was able to get them to that level because that's not where they were before him.
Right, absolutely not. They were not.
I think that his biggest thing, and he talks a lot about the family and a lot of the culture type stuff and how they're going to be a part of the family, and he's going to, almost take care of them as if he's one of their own, I guess. And so I think that every coach is going to sell their message, but if you can sell your, Tom Allen is all about love, and Dabo is all about family. If you can sell that message and tell them that you're going to win games and send their kid to the NFL, that helps too.
Coach Gardner says that the boosters will pay $20 million to no longer coach. I think they have the funds to reel in some big fish. Isn't that the truth? They do. Again, hey, I just want to know, what's the groundwork of reeling in? Man, why didn't you get the big drink, Wade?
I'm thirsty.
All they had was that tiny thing. No. Man, for you guys, Coach DeVries is the head football coach down at Roxana High School, which is near St. Louis, for those that don't know. Just a tough little, how would you describe Roxana?
I mean, we're about 550 kids. We're the shells because there's right behind my If I could show you a picture of my scoreboard in my, I guess it'd be my south end zone, there's a giant refinery right there. So
of Shell.
Yeah, I mean it was a Shell refinery. Now it's ConocoPhillips, I think. But it was a Shell refinery for years and years and years. All of the people from everybody in Roxana worked at the refinery. And that's what kind of community it was. It was probably right at middle class. There was about 1,000 people in the school.
Yeah.
And since then, a lot of the money has probably moved on. So it's definitely a middle class to definitely lower middle class.
Mm-hmm.
But the kids that I have, some of them will go to college. Most of them will go community college or military or trade, or they go to work. I have a lot of kids that they're working a job probably right now in high school that they might continue to work, or that will lead to other jobs within their field.
Yeah, within that company. Absolutely. Yep. Well, Coach, if you don't mind, give me a second. I forgot to shout out my sponsor. David Thomason says they're doing something down there. Cristobal came from there before Oregon. Now look at Oregon's recruiting. I mean, again, there's a lot of people recruiting very well. And what does recruiting well mean? I just can't imagine it's just because you're cool, right?
No.
And having charisma, being charismatic, that is part of it, I do think. But that can't be all of it, man. Hey, our sponsor is Coach Stone Football. Lay a foundation by going back to the basics with Coach Stone Football. Coach Stone has over 15 books available to purchase on Amazon. Want more information about his drill manual series and the new CSF coaching magazine? Then go to his website, CoachStoneFootball.com, or follow him on Twitter at Coach_Stone_MT. Everyone in the chat, thanks so much for joining us tonight. We just try to go live and hang out. And we always get to football, but more so, we're really just trying hard to not really have an agenda and just enjoy each other's company. I've always said I think coaching is difficult, and I think it's important for us to have a group of guys to, just collaborate with and hang out with and smile and know that there's other people out there going through some of the same things that you are that are difficult. And Coach is the head coach at Roxana and has been a wing T guy. That's how you made the cut, Coach, for Winter Stream of all things wings. Tell me this. See, you were an OC before we worked together. You were not running the wing T. Then we worked together. You had no choice, right? Because I made you. And then you left and you stuck with wing T. What made you stick with it?
I think that it was as much as, and wing T is, there's the jet, there's the rocket version, there's the Bucksweep. I mean, there's whatever version you want to go with. I like the idea of, I guess once I got to Champaign specifically when we were there, I think that it's the ability to have an answer. I never felt like any time that we were in the spread, the answer would always be, well, we got to get the ball to our best. Okay, well, if you have one guy that's really talented, defenses can take him away in a spread, right? You can put him anywhere you want. You can move him all over the field. And you can take away a guy, right? I mean, if you have 4 guys that are studs, then I don't believe that it matters what offense you run. I think you're probably going to win. If you go spread, you're probably going to win. And if you go wing T, you're probably going to win. But if you could take away a guy, I feel like in the wing T, there's always answers. And everything, it's almost like I can't remember the coach I heard speak at a clinic, but he said he called it the thinking man's offense. Like you're always saying, okay, they're doing this, so we have this. It's kind of like a chess game, and that part of it interests me, as opposed to going, well, if I put 4 guys, I'm just going to put some numbers out here and out here, but then if I motion him, they're not doing this. Oh, so I got 3 and they've got 2. I'm going to throw bubble, or I don't know. And I felt like being in the spread, the hardest thing to do was, you can't control weather. It's the reason that I refuse. I will never go gun wing T. Just don't. You can't control it. You can't control weather. I think the wing T allows you to win without having a guy. Right now, one of my best players happens to be. I don't know. I don't see us playing, but pretending that we're going to have a spring of 21 season, my best player might be my quarterback. He's a stud. So, we're going to go under center and we're going to run wing T. And we're going to, implement a little bit more play action stuff than we probably would next year. My quarterback is going to end up being probably a freshman or sophomore who's never taken a snap in high school. Yeah. So if you're looking for a game, fall of 21, get Roxana on your schedule. It could be some growing pains for the Shells.
Well, we got Stu36 checked in, said, thanks for doing this. Coach Stu, thanks for checking in, man. Appreciate you. Let us know where you're watching from. Coach Gardner says his kids value the degree, baby. He's got some kids at some big-time schools. Coach, it's funny that you said that I'll never not be under center or whatever. I'll never go gun. Is because my next question after becoming a wing T guy, I don't know if you see it.
Yeah.
But it says, I'm trying to get it there. It says, I'll never not. And I was saying Wade has always been an I'll never guy or an I'll never not. So like every year he's got a I'll never not, and you're convinced. Now I don't know if you ever do renege or not, but
I probably said it so many times I don't even remember.
You've always got a I'll never not. So one of my questions right here was, what's your current I'll never not? But you may have already said I'll never not be under center. What else is an I'll never not for you?
Yeah, I just going under center is. My quarterback, that was the first thing he asked me. He's like, are we going to go in the shotgun? I said, no. He's like, why not? I said, because what if it rains? And I think that on the wing T, I do, I watch all the guys that run it out of the gun. They have a ton. I mean, there's so many different ways to do it. Kenny Simpson down in Arkansas is doing it. And then who'd you have on yesterday?
Stewart,
obviously. But to me, like our bread and butter is going to be buck sweep and trap. And to me, when you lose the inside trap, and you can tell me your quarterback runs it or whatever, trap out of the gun sucks. It's not the same as trap under center. That you can't convince me. It's like running when after we were Alt and we ran a triple option for a bit, and they were dabbling with some midline out of pistol. I'm like, this is stupid. What the hell are we doing? It's slow midline. Like the whole concept of midline is that it hits super fast and it's hard to defend. When you give a guy 2 or 3 seconds to make a decision, it's not nearly as hard as a split second.
Well, what I love about Wade is that he'll never hide his feelings. You will always know exactly what Coach DeVries is thinking. Guys in the chat, thanks so much for joining us. If you're just getting here, I know most guys only stay for a couple minutes, which is fine. But when you do get here, hey, check in. Let us know where you're watching from and leave us a thumbs up. We really appreciate it. And hey, if you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Those things really help. Coach, he's kind of chewing out. He's got a lot of little ones in the house. Don't worry, Coach. If they come in, they come in. That's life. We're all hanging out. When you were a Rocket Belly was the base, and now you're saying we're a Bucksweep trap. Yeah. What was the transition there and the why?
I always liked the Bucksweep stuff. That was always what that's what I liked doing. Again, I think it's the Bucksweep trap. It's the ability to make it look similar, the deception, I guess, of it. It's almost like a triple option without having to give the quarterback the responsibility.
Sure.
And so when I got my first job at Oakwood, the team in our league ran Bucksweep better than any team that I've ever seen run Bucksweep. And I was like, how the hell am I going to beat these guys? They're good. Our best play, I know we're going to be at best the second best team in our conference. So I had to come up with something a little bit different. So it was more similar to what we had done at Central before. A lot of rocket and belly. We call it down now because we're back to the traditional wing tee. But a lot of the rocket belly, a lot of the the Oregon concepts that we utilize, that we still do. Rocket's still a part for us. It's not what I found where I have the hardest trouble. Maybe somebody on there has some tips for me. We've gotten away a lot from Rocket because we always get holding calls. Mm-hmm. On Rocket, if we pop it 3 times in a game, I guarantee 2 of them are coming back. And it might be a nudge, it might be anything, and we get a holding call. And I don't. we try to teach it. I'm sure the way we're teaching it's not very good, or we wouldn't be getting these stupid holding penalties. But I don't know a great way of teaching that perimeter blocking. But what's easy to teach is down blocking. Mm-hmm. So, and that's why the wing, the Bucksweep, we still got the rocket stuff, we still got the wedge, but we kind of got to. That's what I did my first year actually at Roxana, and I was wedge. Like, because the guy before was a little bit more of the Bucksweep type wing T, and I was like, well, we'll do something different. And I was like, this is stupid. Let's just do what we want to do.
Yeah.
And so we had a lot more success the second year doing the Bucksweep, trap, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, when you keep getting it called back, and I remember going to see a couple of your games, and it was several holding penalties on Rockets, and they would pop and they'd come back, and I wonder what it was. We have to go back and evaluate some film together sometime.
Yeah.
Let's go. You talked about that team in your conference that run Bucksweep better than you'd ever seen it. And yes. I was a coach in that conference once, and he was there, and that was what I had said about them when I was there. And I said, I've never seen a team run Bucksweep like this. It was like, I just felt like it was like out of NFL films, like the ball snaps, and I just see these two massive guards coming at me.
Imagine Vince Lombardi film. That's what this looks like. It looks like Packer sweep.
What do you think they're doing to help? What are they doing so well? Because they run Buck sweep maybe really better than anyone I've seen run it.
Yep.
What do you think they're doing?
I watched the clinic video on Chief Pigskin. I've watched it, multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
I've watched it to try to see, and they don't block it differently. It's Buck sweep. It's down, down, click out, pull. The one thing that they do that's interesting that I've never tried is, he said they want to get the ball from the time it's snapped, that running back to the line of scrimmage as fast as they can. So, as opposed to it going, traditional Buck sweep, you're going out.
Yeah, you're right. Everybody goes in that L or that T.
Oh, yeah. You got to stick your foot in the ground. Otherwise, it's power or whatever. But, he said that, I want to say that on Buck sweep, he said 1.8 seconds. And then they run a wham play that he talks about to the tight end that was 1.4.
Yeah, you're right.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they get their Buck sweep to hit faster. I don't know. I'd be interested to.
It's worth exploring. Coach Gardner says, I need to see this mythical Buck sweep. Really do. It really is impressive. You know him well. I'm sure you've heard of him. It's Bismarck Henning. And they haven't made a championship run yet. But I'm telling you, they've won 8 or more games.
Man, when I was at Oakwood, my first year when I was at Oakwood, if their running back doesn't tear his ACL, they would have been really hard to beat in 2A.
Yeah.
Because they brought in, that kid tore his ACL, and the kid that they brought in ended up going for 1,500 yards as a freshman.
Yeah,
he was their backup.
They are really impressive, man. And again, they haven't made that championship run yet, but they've won, I would guess, they've won 8 or more games 12 of the last 15 years.
Oh, yeah.
That's that's a really impressive run, man. Really impressive run. Okay, so here's what I want to ask. When we worked together, Wade, and you were calling our plays, and I go back and I look at that year, and I for the most part, I really let you call them. Once in a while, I'd be like, I got an idea, right? Or I'd be like, no, don't call that. We'll score too fast, and we want to not score, right? But for the most part,
that was never in my mind.
You got to go. So when I look back now and I watch the film and I look at it, it's like we would literally go X over rocket, tackle over belly, X over rocket, tackle over belly, X over rocket, tackle. So before we called plays together, I was always like, all right, listen, if I'm going to run rocket out of X over, then I got to run other stuff out of X over so they don't know it's coming.
Right.
And we kind of just, you didn't pay much attention to that. I was like, this is what we're best at this out of. I'm going to get us to the formation that we're best at it with.
Right. It was that, but it was also the biggest difference between that and now I call plays essentially from the sideline. But when I was calling them, I was sitting in the booth. So between every series, you're looking, if you run a rocket out of X over and it doesn't work, you can look and go, okay, what's going on? Heck, you can look between plays.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be times where I'd call a play and I'd be looking at the iPad. I wouldn't even see the play on the field. I'd have no idea what happened. I see down and distance, but I'm looking at this is where they're going. And then you've got another answer. But also, I think the biggest thing for us was the huddle. I don't think we were moving so many pieces so fast that And you think about, so people don't understand the huddle. So what we would do is we'd break with our tight end and our split to one side. So what do you think is coming if you're the defense? You're calling strength to that side, right? Because you're going rocket. Well, then we'd pop the huddle, and in 5 seconds, we'd go belly away from the X over. Because that would become the weak side, because we'd go. So I think that there was a lot of that too, that we were able to manipulate formations so much and do it so quickly. Now I've completely gotten away from that now.
I talked to a couple guys that worked with us that year, and they've talked about that huddle. And myself, even, I went away from it. And then, because what happens was that double huddle, we called it, it was expensive. It's expensive because you have to go through some growing pains with it. You're talking like, a month of summer where number one, it doesn't look good, where the kids don't want to do it, where you're busy chewing out a kid for not doing the double huddle right instead of something else that feels more important within the tackle box, right, or within the block. And so it was expensive. But again, just having a lot of time since we did that, and we're moving the ball very well, I look back at some things and I go, what were some of the things that are those difference makers? I think there's a good chance that was one of those difference makers. What's up, Coach Johnson? Coach Stu says he's out of Michigan, so that's good to hear. Anyway, I'll give you a chance to respond to that, then we'll move on to our next question.
No. I think the huddle, we've gotten away from it now being traditional wing T, because I really want to break the huddle and I want to see where you're going to line up. Because, that's what I want to see, because now we're just looking for bubbles, numbers, you're just eyeing it. And I want to know, hey, when I go X over, how you line it up. When I go tackle over, how are you going to line up? Whereas in that offense, I didn't care, because it was rocket, bell. It was quick hitting stuff, so it didn't really matter where they lined up.
So now, if you're going to wait and see how they line up, does that mean you're going to think that you're calling things from the line now? No,
we're not doing that. But we've been doing single huddle. And when I say see how they line up, I mean on the because we'd have plays at Central where we'd be ready to snap the ball and their defense is moving around, and it was some of those defenses were a mess.
Hey, right now, so first of all, we're like almost out of time, which I can't believe we just started talking. So we'll get to maybe one or two more of these things. So let me just keep rolling. All you guys in chat, thanks for checking in. As I think I already said, what's up, Coach Johnson? What counters do you carry now? Again, we haven't worked together for 5 or 6 years. What counters do you carry in the offense?
I suck at counter. I've never been good at counter, ever, as a coach. The one year that at Central, we were good at crisscross, and part of it was because our running backs were so freaking good that I don't know that we could have screwed up some of the plays. But crisscross is the biggest one for me.
Okay. So you'll carry crisscross. What else, though? Will you carry a tackle that goes back, or a counter that goes back to the strong side, or anything?
No. We really have limited the number of different plays. So we're really into like bucksweep trap, crisscross boot, belly sweep, belly pass, and then a couple home run shots.
Okay.
Because what happens is I get so many plays, and then I've got this list of plays at my disposal, and it's like we're gonna try tackle trap, and then we're gonna be half-assed at tackle trap. So we tried it last year. We had both, and we sucked at both. And I was like, well, this is stupid. So we have to at least be really good at one counter. Yeah. And crisscross to me is the king of all counters.
Yeah. All right, so crisscross is your counter. Okay, last question here for you. Before I ask this last question, in fact, I'll give you a minute to prepare for it. What I'm going to ask is, you've got this quarterback that can throw the ball 1,000 miles, right? And so I just want to know, like, hey, how are we going to use this quarterback that can throw like crazy when we're a wing T team? And not only do you have a quarterback that can throw like crazy, you've got some very talented receivers. So it's like, in fact, a lot. I don't know your program all that well, but from the outside, from what we've talked about, it sounds like your best talent is at quarterback and receiver, right? Yep, coming in as a wide receiver, as a wing T team. So I want to talk to you for a moment about how you're going to use that, but I'm going to come right back to that. So think about that. Shout out my sponsor one time, because fellas, we are closing this thing down for the night. 30 minutes is up. Our sponsor is Coach Stone Football. Lay a foundation by going back to the basics with Coach Stone Football. Coach Stone has over 15 books available to purchase on Amazon. Want more information about his Back to the Basics Football Drill Manual series? Go to his website, CoachStoneFootball.com, and follow him on Twitter at Coach_Stone_MT. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Thursday night is our last night of the week where we go live. We'll be back live next Monday. I've got a great lineup next Monday. Normally go at 8 p.m., but because of the national title game, I think we're going to go 7 p.m. next Monday. And my guest next Monday is Jeremy Cordell.
Oh.
You've seen stuff by Cordell. Cordell does a great job out of the Chicago suburbs. I've got some great ones next week again. Adam Matheson, Brad Seberg out of Cary Grove, and then my guy Anthony Gonzalez out of Salinas, California. So next week is going to be a great one as well. All right, finishing it up, Coach DeVries, how do you handle being an under center wing T team when your best talent is at quarterback and receiver?
So the first thing I did, obviously knowing who I got coming back when I thought we were going to get to play football, was my cousin's a big RPO, Tony Franklin, whatever, air raid, whatever you want to call it, guy.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with him, and I'm like, what can I do? Let's start talking about ideas. And he comes up with all this stupid crap, like going in the shotgun. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So, but then really what I did is I watched Derek Leonard present a lot. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's the best.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what is he? I mean, I'm not going to do what he does. We're not going to be able to play at that tempo. We're not going to do all the different things, but what does he do? And so what I think we're going to start being able to do is I'm going to take that wing to the tight end side, and we're going to move him out over top of my X, and we're going to stack him out at the numbers. So we're going to have 2 stack receivers out there. And what I want to see from that is I want to know where are you going to put, and we're going to go X over. So they'll be to the tight end side.
Oh, okay.
That would be our strong side. So what I want to see is where are you going to put that outside backer? Mm-hmm. Because if you widen him halfway, my quarterback's going to zip the screen out there in a half a second, and he'll never get there.
Yeah.
He gets it to the sideline so fast.
Yeah, he has a cannon. I've seen him throw.
And so we're going to be able to stack that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take basically my 6th best lineman, and we're going to put him at tight end so we can run Bucksweep still without having to have that wing potentially. Now, it may become what we call Bucksweep switch.
Right.
Where the play side guard leads, backside guard kicks, depending on where the overhang kid is playing. And we may get a on that tight end, we call it a 7, but a lot of people call it a 9, the outside shade. Mm-hmm. Our tight end may still be able to base block that because he's really good.
Right.
So we may still be able to base block that kid. My fear would be a run through, but we're going to play with some of the receivers doing different things. We've actually got some trips sets that we're going to get into. And then we've talked about even potentially offsetting that B. Yeah. Offsetting the fullback. So you could offset that fullback and you still have buck sweep. Now you lose trap. Right. But you could still run buck sweep with the trips look. And just honestly, my quarterback is really, really good at screens, hitches, and verticals. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're going to limit it to. I'm not going to try. Coach is like, slants open. And I'm like, we're 0 for 12 this season. I'm not throwing slant. This is stupid.
But it's open. It was open.
This isn't mad.
I love it, Coach. Man, I love hearing from you. I love talking ball with you. You always make a lot of great points. Mr. Wade DeVries. That's Wade DeVries, the king of I'll never not.
I'll never not be under center.
I'll never not be under center. Oh man, what a week it has been. A great week of talking ball. Thank you everyone for joining us. Coach DeVries, man, take care. I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Too.
All right,
we'll be
man.
up soon, I'm sure.
All right. Good night.
Yep. Good night.